Welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, a show for artists, creators, creative entrepreneurs to have heartfelt conversations about living a creative life and a career. As you go into this show, hear your favorite creators talk about money, mindset, business, creativity, and everything else that goes behind into making a life that we all adore as an artist. Hear the messy and the wonderful side of being a creative. I am your host, Charika Arora, an artist, creator, and founder of Arts to Hearts project. Thank you for joining me here. Let's jump right in. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, I'm so nice to see you.
Yes, I know. After like long time, it feels like years, but it's been a couple of months.
Yeah, how are you and how does it feel? I still feel like because we've always, irrespectively of you've been in India or you've been outside, but for me, it's still the same.
Right. Yeah. No, I still, no, I know I'm not anymore in India,
In India.
but it's been a really interesting transition though. It's been first one that it's like kind of hard. Not that none of them is hard. It is, it's like you're starting from the beginning, but
Yeah.
this one is because it's everything is so easy here, and I'm used to having really tough time like getting stuff. So I think I need to just accommodate myself too. And now, we're having this talk today, and over the weekend, we just decided we're gonna start working on my studio. So my
Oh,
studio
yes, I
is.
saw those stories.
So like I can't even be in the studio because we just put a primer this morning on, so we can prime the floor, paint the floor. So yeah, but overall, kids are back to school, and I have time to go back to work. That
The
I
good
think
thing
that
is
was
you have two more girls. You have another girls. Now you have two girls who go to school and two girls who stay back with you.
oh yeah, no, I have a boy. Say
Oh, he's
Forrest.
boy.
Forrest is a boy. Yes. They.
Oh,
So I wanted to get a girl, dog, but they didn't have it. We went with the same breeder, and she was like, I only have a boy. And then she explained, look, Weimaraner boys are they're really content, and like they're full of confidence, and they stay next to you. Which I was like, maybe I need that, because she was, and she still is like super stubborn. She still does her way, no matter how how am I training her. It's just, bad. How are you? How's life?
I'm doing better. I'm doing good. Just I think again the transition. I think even though we feel like the transition, we're settled. I mean, but it takes time when you start like rebuild things and like get back into life and like all of those things. I've been through the same, particularly not like completely, but resetting a studio, moving again. I'm living between Agra and Delhi both, so that way I need a studio in Delhi now because I'm staying there more than I'm staying here. I don't want to give up
Okay.
my studio in Agra, so that is the reason I'm staying. I'm
so,
still sticking to it.
so what you gonna do? Like, you're gonna just leave it there until you figure out, right? What
Yeah,
exactly?
until I'm confident that what I really want in life. I mean,
Mhm.
where I really want to be. So, and
Yeah,
I think that studio also holds a very special space for me, and I just don't think I'm ready yet to like let
to
it
give up
go.
on.
So I'm going to,
Yeah,
I'm going to wait it out and see like how it
yeah.
feels.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best. Like, if you can, like, because now you're in Nagra, and you just feel like you need your space, and you can go there, and like you're kind of in transition, like me, between the
Yeah,
studios.
and I
Find your
think
studio wherever it is.
and I think there's never one answer. Sometimes you just don't have an answer. Like life is in such a place that you need to like you have to have this thing around you, and that's what we're actually going to learn from you. I'm going to learn about you and from you that how do you do it. But before
Mhm.
we have a few people already. First, would you like to introduce yourself? Hello to everyone. Hello, Julia, Suzanne, Gia. Hi.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming. I'm not sure if I know any of you. Are they from the Art Queens, or
No. It's a
no?
lot of we sent out on our Instagram and on our email list. So we had, I think, 20, 30, we had 25 people, but the thing with Zoom is a lot of people joined before this thing. So I think with time
Mhm.
zones, a lot of people are coming on very
I know.
different times right now.
It's about these time zones, right? I lived in so
Yeah.
many different time zones that I'm like, oh gosh, now I'm like, okay, now I can finally settle in and be in one time zone,
Yeah.
because it's like you're always looking into this little app or whatever you have on your phone. Oh, which
Yeah.
time zone I need to now join? And it happened to me so many times that I would join before or after. And like,
That
when
happens a
you're
lot.
after, right. When you're after is like people remind you, but when you're before and you're like, what's going on? Maybe something's wrong with my
Uh-huh.
internet, right?
No, sometimes I figure like when we get a lot of notifications and I was confused, like, have I got the time wrong? Is that me? So I have to always check again and again. I'm like, are we doing it right? Are we right? Because when a lot of people turn around on the same time, you question
Right.
yourself if there's something wrong with your timing. But okay,
Yeah.
why don't you introduce yourself for everyone who's joined?
Okay.
Who you are, what you do, where you are, and why we're doing this.
Okay.
Why
So
this topic?
I prepared a couple of presentations so that
Oh
you could
wow.
just like uh,
Yes.
learn about my whole art journey that started 10 years ago, and see my transition, how I went from something that was totally not me to this, what it is
I'm
today,
really
me.
looking forward to this.
So,
Oh wow.
uh, guess what? This is my first Zoom talk. I had a couple of
Oh,
podcasts, but I never had like a visual talk with anybody. I had a bunch of interviews, but that's different. Like you can write your words. And this, I think, um, I don't mind if you jump in and ask me the questions,
perfect.
or we can do it at the end. So anyway,
Okay.
okay. So I'll start. So this is me. I'm painting her voice. That means I'm painting the voice of a woman that I learned and became through all my travels that started in 2010, right? So that time before I left, I'm Slovenian, and I was born and brought in a little, very small little town in Slovenia. And then when I went studying, I moved to the capital, and then I felt that this is my home. So I kind of feel that I'm from Ljubljana. I'm not, but I am, because I lived almost half of my life in the
There.
capital of the city, right? So, and then at age 29, I met my husband in Bosnia while I was working as a TV director and journalist, and he was working on his project in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, and I was working on my project. We were shooting some documentary there, and we met. And then 6 months later, I decided I'm going to leave my country and see if this is what it is. And so since then, I lived in 8 different countries. I started with Jordan, France, moved to France,
Wow.
then Russia, Dominican Republic, Netherlands, India, and now in the US. And in between, I became a mother twice, and I established 2 different careers. So I left my journalism because it was really hard to navigate, because you kind of have to learn the language wherever you are in these countries to get the job in the media, especially like in Dominican Republic, where the English is not like the second language, right? I mean, it is, but it's not. It's mostly Spanish speaking, or Jordan, right? Or France, Russia, right? And none of those countries really speak English, right? I really didn't know what to do, and my husband and I, we founded a nonprofit organization because we have a farm, lavender farm in the Washington state in the U.S. He's American, and so the nonprofit organization is the educational organization where we teach about sustainability and self-sufficiency. So I've been, and I still am running this from abroad for since 2016, but before we established that, I started dabbling in the arts when I moved to the Dominican Republic, right? So, but I'll talk about it later. So, right, I lived in all those different countries and learned different cultures, and which later became really my inspiration. At that time, I did not think that's going to be that. But now looking back, there is so many of these cultures inside of me it's like just unbelievable, and it's coming through my art, right? It's shaped me as a person and as a human, and especially, but as a woman. In Jordan, I was still working with media. In France as well, Russia last, and then we moved to the Dominican Republic in 2011. So, and here I start exploring the art. I get a dog, right? I have all this beach around, and I did not think.
Oh my God, that's when you got her.
Yeah, I got Sage in 2011. Yes,
and you
because
so she's also traveled so many cities with you, actually, countries.
Oh,
actually.
Yeah. She's a world traveler as well.
Yeah, she's like a global citizen.
Yeah, yes, exactly right. See, if she could speak, she would learn all those languages. I mean, because here in Dominican Republic, she's still a puppy, and I get suddenly pregnant, like it wasn't planned.
Yeah.
And right, and now it's like I'm pregnant, and it's like my husband's working all day, and I've got nothing to do. So nothing to do. I don't know what to do with the dog, because like at a certain point you can't walk in that heat, and she's big dog and she needs an exercise. So I got her a dog trainer who speaks Spanish to her, right? So it's so awesome. Right. And but anyway, so when I moved to Dominican Republic, it's the same like India, right? You have a how to say that? You've got the very cultural part of the art here, right? Which is beautiful. But I was used to when I worked in media, it was also a very artistic TV station where I worked in it. So I would do a lot of one-on-one interviews with artists, with very special, unique people around Slovenia and countries around Slovenia, right? So I saw a bunch of different art there, and then I moved to Dominican Republic, and it's very just Caribbean art, right? So, and I'm like, I need something else, right? And so I find the art store. I buy some paints. I don't even know what paints I bought. I think they were acrylic. And I don't have art profession. My profession is in fashion, right? And so I buy these paints, and I go home and I start painting just some abstract. I don't even know what I paint, but I don't have any picture from there, and I feel so bad because I have the first painting that I painted. That's later on. The first painting that I painted is now in the home in Peru. I met some wonderful couple there. They came one day to my house to have a coffee with me, and they were like, "We love this," and it was a red painting, and it had like just the squares, and it kind of represented the city where I live. It was just like minimal abstract with some graphic inside, right? So they were like, "We love it." And and I was like, "Okay, here you go for a coffee." So, and from Dominican Republic, like 2012, I got my daughter, and I'm like, in that time, I'm a mom. I'm dabbling here and there a little bit art, and but I feel this passion that I need to, like you wake up and you need to become creative, right? I mean, little kids, they always sleep, at least mine did. So, through the day, not through the night. So anyway, and then in 2012, 13, we moved to the Netherlands, right? And there I got exposed to the much more art, and I got really into it, and I start working on the abstract art, right? So
wow, look, I mean, this work of yours, it's so, now that I know where you are right now, to just date back and see.
Right. So all this, I don't have any studio, right? And because it's not on my mind and I'm ever gonna become an artist, I just want to express myself. So I paint in my kitchen, and these are all oils, right?
Wow.
And I don't have a clue how oil work. So the middle one, right, is like my first painting. This is a commission, but the first painting looked like the same as this one. very similar to do. So what I was using was oils and palette knife, right?
Okay.
So and I was like, oh, I'll come tomorrow when I wake up back, and I come back, and the oil is not dry because it was so thick, and I'm like,
and did you ever like before this ever had you like done any sort of painting or like
no,
even before?
no.
Never.
I mean, I did as a like, you know, as a kid, right? But like we did something in school, but I left that there, and I never did anything in between. I remember I did something when I was a student, and it was really tough with money. So like I would, my friend would have a birthday, so I didn't have money to buy her present. So I would draw her a figure, right, and give her that as a present.
So you
but
had
like
it.
Nothing.
You just didn't know.
Right. So all I did, it was like I would go to the galleries and the museums, but that's it, just to observe art, right?
So you were an art lover at least at that point. You
yes, yeah. I always loved art, and especially I love music a lot. I don't know how I ended up being a painter, but anyway. So so here in the Netherlands, I'm doing this dabbling, and I'm still in Netherlands, and then I have to go to the US for 6 months to do my citizenship, right? So I have to stay there, and I can't take my art with me, and I'm moving to a very small town where is my husband from, to stay there with my 3-year-old kid, and we move, and I get really inspired by the Native American culture, and I start painting.
Oh wow, this is where it is from.
So right from that switch, where was like why I went into this, it was I love abstract, and I still amazingly love abstract, but it wasn't challenging for me. Maybe because I didn't know what I'm doing there. Like, you know, it wasn't like if you know how to do the figure, that's my personal approach. If you know how to paint the figure, then I'm pretty sure you know how to paint everything, right? You just have to because I think the hardest part is the human body.
Especially when in the beginning we think what art is, like we feel like we need to be close enough. I think first you learn the rules and the structures, and then you realize, oh, it's just not about that. It's so much more than that.
Right, exactly, right. So anyway, where I moved is there where is our farm. So our farm is like totally off grid. It's 25 minutes drive up the hill from that small town. Everything is solar and wind energy, and I get inspiration by the energy of the place itself, right? It's just so amazing. I don't know. I mean, I'm European. I never lived in the US, right? So
and for some reason I always thought you're an American. First, I don't know why.
No. Maybe because I'm married to an American. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, so anyway, and so I start meeting some people, some Native American people, and started listening to stories, and I started studying them more and more. And this is just few. I have probably around 100 portraits that I did. I sold a couple of them. I gave away the portraits. I have some in the US. And with this collection here, I had my first exhibition in that little town. While I'm there, I just went to that little gallery that they had, and I was like, would you like to can I exhibit with you? And they were like, yeah, sure, bring it, right? So I think it's show up. You never know what's going to happen.
Yes.
Right? So and I did at that point, I'm like, oh, that's so cool, but not thinking I'm going to be artist anyway. So but all this, this is watercolor and this is watercolor. These two are oil on paper, and they are done with a palette knife.
Oh wow.
This is not
you were experimenting a lot,
yes, experimenting. So anyway, and then I go back to the Netherlands, and where I'm still keep on painting with the Native Americans, but the Netherlands is full of culture, people from all around the world live there. And I had a bunch of groups that I was hanging around, and I get really interested in different cultures. You see, I start painting.
Now I can connect the dots. I always keep thinking about why someone does where it's coming from. And
Right.
even though it seemed obvious, but sometimes it isn't. Now I see like how your interest in cultures has like begun.
Right. So, but anyway, so I come back and I have only oil paints, right? And a pencil at home. And I don't have any watercolors because those watercolors that I was doing in the US, I leave all that material there. So it's like you're always coming back and you're kind of starting from the beginning. And anyway, so I started experimenting with the pencil and I go and buy the watercolors. And I never wanted to buy just any watercolors. I wanted to have a good watercolor because I could get the really good pigment of the paint itself, right? So, and then I watched one documentary of albino African people, and I paint this little portrait. I think she's my favorite one. If you look at her clothes, she has dark blue eyes and red lips, and it's like, but here you could see that I'm already exploring the transparent color of the skin, right?
Yeah.
But I'm dabbling here with like painting the portraits. This is a man, African tribe. I don't remember exactly what. And the Indian, never knowing that I will ever end up being Indian.
Oh wow!
And then I
always thought you made these in India. Oh goodness!
No. These were all made in the Netherlands way before. But when we kind of just maybe halfway through the Netherlands. And then this is the Cuban man that I did in my parents' house when I went to visit them back to Slovenia. And then these are I think I was attracted to, if I go back to the Native Americans, was their wisdom. And then all this wisdom of the old people that lived life, that was my biggest inspiration, right? I would research and I would read like how they approached the life. It was like, all of them were talking about basically, hey, you got to believe in yourself, right? Never even know that this is something that I really am portraying today, right? So anyway, and then I get pregnant for the second time, and while I get pregnant, I am tired of bringing stuff to my kitchen and sitting and drawing and whatever, and I discover a new medium, which is the Procreate. I go on and I work in digital art, so I could work on my couch, right? And and while I'm working on this, we moved to India, so that's like beginning of 2018. And
you had your child for that. You had the second girl by then.
Yes, I gave a birth to Sasha in the Netherlands, January 2018, and then March 2018 we moved to India.
Goodness.
And then I left all my art supplies.
Again?
I just gave them. Yeah, I left everything, and because it was really hard to bring things to India, especially like if you're bringing the inflamed things like paints, right? Yeah, so I just donated to the school, art school, my supplies, and I moved there thinking, well, now I'm a mom to two. How am I going to continue this? Not even thinking about it, whatever, right? So I'm just living my life as a mom, but having this itch, I need to continue, right? So I do this for 2017 and full 2018, and then we moved to India, and then I started my journey of painting women. Like, so before I was painting men and women, right? Here I'm like, just go back. And then I think I started looking more deep into myself. And first it was charcoal, and here you could see a little bit of acrylic, basically, and you see my circles start appearing. I was just drawn to the circle shape, didn't know what exactly it is. And usually it's like, as an artist, you define your trademarks through the art, right? They like you exploring them, why they are there, why they're showing up, and then I figured out what it is. So, and 2019 I start with acrylic paint, and I paint all these my ladies I'm focusing on their face, and then we hit the pandemic, right? And here is why I'm painting Guilt Trip. Is basically it's the part of the pandemic where we were really restrained. We couldn't go anywhere, and I had.
This is where we also started to connect. I remember all of these works that you made in, like,
right.
We were in touch. We were speaking, and I was seeing all of this happening.
Right. So, but before all of this, I was still working in this form and some watercolors. I didn't put them in, but this is basically where I'm like, okay, I am taking this to be my profession. I'm gonna become an artist, right? And I'm having really hard time getting good materials, like brushes and paints, and Charika, how it is, right? I mean, now maybe it's slightly easier. You can get the good material, but it's super expensive.
Yes.
But anyway, so I find like little store somewhere, just like hidden, and I go start buying these paints and canvases, and I just went and bought, and then I sell my first piece of art, like sell it through pandemic online, right?
Yeah.
And I get like a lot of invitation to participate in online galleries, right? I think everybody was looking where, like, especially those art organizations, they wanted to show the art, and which was, I think it wasn't good as a pandemic, but it was thriving for us, the artists, right? To show up. So anyway, and I paint these bold ladies, and I start figuring out, okay, this is something that I want to paint. This is me. These are all the ladies and all the stories of the ladies that I learned through all those cultures and brought them into my art.
Wow.
And while I'm painting this, I start my also new other business venture, which is Papaya Pica. Yeah, Papaya Pica. And these are my designs on the shirts and shirts, some apparel, and now I am looking into painting physically onto it, because I have people commission me separately and I don't promote that. Like, I painted bags and I painted jackets, and but this is something that that is now functioning, and it's really cool though. It's a little other outlet that brings extra money to me, that it's like as art itself.
Also, your art, like I still love, I wear it now. It's like I'm wearing mine during the evenings, but it was such, I love that. And also it felt like a very good match, your work and apparel, and like it fitted so well.
Right. But I didn't know it fit well as to be part of my website. So I kind of parted them and gave the brand name to the my apparel. So I could, like, I think it was also because I wanted to, like, if I start working with the galleries, it just doesn't feel like I want my art to be more professional, and this profession, I think, has to do something with all the profession that I worked before, so. But anyway, so while we are here in India, right, we have to, in the middle of the COVID, move to another house. And while I'm there, all of these guys, this all art was also made in my kitchen, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, I kind of, every night when everybody went to sleep, I just like removed the things and made myself a corner. So during the day, you would basically eat in my studio, right? Right? Because I had to hang out somewhere, art and and paint. So anyway, and then we have to move, and I get my first studio ever in my life. Like, I have like gigantic room in my studio, and then I start painting the art that really took off. And this is one of the first.
Your scale also showed up, like you started scaling your work up. Like,
yes, I think it's just I was coming every day back to my studio, no matter how tired I was.
Yeah,
it was really making me happy to like go back and just work on it, something to try to perfect, right? And while I'm working on this, I'm also looking for the other opportunities, right? So, and then I do this the big pieces of rainbow ladies, and all of them have the story about the power of a woman, right? They are kind of reminding you that you the one who needs to make yourself successful, because you can, and that's what these old circles represent, the unity, right? It's your own success is within you. If you're not going to do on it, Charuka cannot help me, right? If I'm not going to work on it. So, and from there I move and I do this this is acrylic still on canvas, and then I go to the watercolors, right? So you see I'm switching always the medium, and I just love switching this medium. I don't know.
But
And
even
here,
though like it feels like you feel like you've switched mediums, but like aesthetically, if I see there's so much synchronity in the work, like, and I think like this, honestly, these are one of my favorite works. And you remember, I also messaged you about them, like, you know, how much I love them. And like, even though it's a different material, I just think it still feels so much synchronized in one. Like, to you as an artist, it feels like it's another, because I think we tend to overthink a lot of things.
Yeah, I think it was also because I went from all those pop colors to the black and white, very monochromatic, right? But this, as I said, this so like it went, right? It just blew off, and I'm like, whoa, right? It's cool, but then like I'm not sure if like I want to paint black and white, because I live in such a vibrant country and I'm inspired by the colors and the culture, and like, you know. But so this series is called Dream, and why this series came out is because I was listening through all these Zooms, and I was around the certain people that were having dreams, but they didn't know how to approach them. There was a lot of fear, and I mean, I also have fear as well approaching, but I stomp and I go, right? I mean, what can happen? It can happen only that somebody says no to me, right? And like I need to get over it. There's going to be so many no's in my life that whatever, and then eventually it's going to be one yes, which happened to me when I was looking in between the two lockdowns in India. I really wanted to have an exhibition, and everybody were like, no, your art is too much for here, right? And then I get my first exhibition after this one, right? So I have this one and this previous exhibiting, and plus this one as well. Some of them that is left, you know, and it's like one big achievement for me to have my solo exhibition.
Such a wonderful show.
Yeah. And then after the exhibition is like, what am I going to do now? I'm like looking, like, you know, once you get like into your creativity, I went and start exploring the clay, right? Air dry clay, and I'm doing sculptures, and these are like a relief sculptures that you can hang on the wall. I did
this also has a lot of Indian influence. I don't know, because in India what we do is like, I don't know, what do we call it? Like, these are clay masks that people hang outside their houses, which are tend to like, they send away negative energy. Like they send, like they protect you, and like it does, like especially the blue one on the background, like the image that you're showing, like it feels so much connected to that for some reason. Like it's very bold and strong.
You know, it's interesting when you're saying this now. It probably does, because I would see them. And this probably subconsciously came out of it. Because, right. Because I always wanted to sculpt the head, the face, but when I started it, I always come back to this. Right? Now I never thought about it, but now like when you're saying this, these are reliefs.
I also never thought about it. I've seen them so many times, but just when you're sharing now, I'm like, this is what it like. Maybe this is where it's coming from, because it really feels close to it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just amazing medium. I love clay. It's dirty though, and I like having my studio clean. But I will continue here as well. I don't know where and how, but I will, because I just love it. It's totally different what you're doing, and you know, and you perfection so much, because you're working in a 3D, and like you're trying to like really shape the nose.
I'm really interested. I really want
Yeah.
to learn. You started doing this with Jen, and at the same time, I also started.
Yes.
But the good thing is
Right.
you continued, and I just couldn't.
Well, yeah, life brings, right? I mean, I stopped now as well. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, and then I was
Yeah.
like, well, I went, and I was like, okay, no, I had all these series. Well, I'll just do a new series. But it's not like I'm gonna just do it. I felt an urge, like, so, you know, I felt like, okay, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this series. First, I painted this lady just out of blue. And then I was like, oh, this came out and like it speaks a lot. And I was like paying attention what I was doing there. I was painting my emotion of that day. So, and then I went and did the whole series of 12 paintings. These are watercolor, acrylic, and pastel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they are such a powerful, like intense series. That got really well accepted as well, and there's few of them left. They're in South Korea now.
Wow.
South Korea, yeah, and on exhibition. So yeah, you know, it's like it things like when you pay, like when I'm all this painting, I'm also looking for the other opportunities, and when you look for the opportunities, also opportunity looks for you, right? So and then
this is my favorite part.
I discover oil and a full figure, and I always wanted to paint the full figure, but I had a fear of how am I going to do the legs, how am I going to do the hand, like whatever. And like, you know, I'm in a sense, I'm a perfectionist. If I paint a hand, it kind of needs to look like a hand. But then I was like, no, if you want to really paint a hand, then go take a picture, right? And have a picture of it, right? So I explored this my abstract life, and it's about the power pose of a woman, right? It's about the quality of the woman, like, because men tend to tell you, oh, don't sit like this lady. That's not ladylike sitting, right? And like, well, you know, I'm a human, you're human, you sit like this, why I cannot sit like this, right? I'm exploring the power of myself, like, and you know, Charika, how it is in India, how men really definitely the women, right? And this was my biggest inspiration, was all this, like, you know, when a lot of ladies, Indian ladies, came to me and said, your art had so much power on me. And like, I don't know if their life really changed, but they had courage to come and tell me, you know, that it had an influence. And I have a lot of Indian collectors that bought my art, which is like really inspiring. Anyway,
I think so I love this one. This piece, this finally, like, this was like, it's still one of my favorite pieces. And I remember when we were doing like we were doing like a Zoom call or like something. You had the yoga once inspired, and you were like, oh, this is just something I'm working on. I'm just, you know, I was like, this looks so good.
And I know, right? It's there at that time. It's like, for me, because I'm going from the face into the figure, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so different. Like, people are not gonna like it. And you know, as much as I'm like, I'm painting for myself, I am painting for other people as well, right? As we all do, we kind of need this confirmation that we're doing a good job, right? So but then I tend to balance, like, I really highly value the other people insight. If it's negative or positive, it's good, so I can change, right? But then I kind of bounce, and I said, I don't care what everybody says. This is who I am, and this is what I do, right? And then when you are in that mental mode, this is when your art really gets accepted, right? And people find themselves in it. And I just, like, it's interesting. It's my container just came from US, from India. It's been since April, and somebody bought this little painting, and I'm like, I don't have painting with me in my hands. And they were like, don't worry, when it comes, you'll ship it, right? So, because you have these fears, what if, like, what's somebody, like, what am I going, right? I mean, I don't mind giving money back, right? But it's not just about the money. It's about that, like, I'm bringing my art to somebody, you know, in their house. But anyway, so here I already am learning. I'm going into I'm going to be moving And also some of the poses is inspiration from that move. You know, you start mentally thinking about, oh gosh, it's going to change a lot. So
again.
And then while I'm painting the other series, I'm working on these big portraits. They're 4 by 5 feet. They're all oil. And while I'm
I see the
working on
comeback
these,
of the black series with these ones.
yes. So you see, that one was black and white. This is white and black.
Yeah.
Right. And so while I'm working on these, somebody sees this artwork. I don't have a clue how and they asked me if I would put this Indian lady in the new US consulate as a main piece next, as a representative, right? And I'm like, of course. I mean, this is free. This is my gift to them, right? But like, why would I refuse such an honor, right? I mean, to put it there. But anyway, this is ongoing series. This is what I'm gonna continue working here when I come here. So this is called The Importance of Woman in Community. It's a exploring the woman that does whatever she wants to do, like if she wants to, you know, just cook lunch and clean the house, that's her own decision, right? Because in the previous one it's like, hey, you know, you can do more. So anyway, and here I stop, and then I'm moving to the US. And while I'm on the go, so my all art material again is packed. Now I packed it and ship it to the US, and I come here. I've got only four brushes and one set of watercolors with me and my sketchbook, and I get the gallery representation saying, hey, can you paint us until June 5 pieces?
Wow.
And I'm like, sure. And I don't do it in oil. I don't do it in watercolor. I go buy all the art material and paint this called Making Decision collection of the ladies in a sitting pose. You know, because I figured
it's
out
like a world of you in another world.
Right. It is, literally it is. This is now with the return on art. It's a very strong art
yes, I've seen them
online, right? So they're European from Austria, and it was really cool because you can collaborate with them. That you approach them, they have to find you and approach you, right? So anyway, I go buy all this material, and again, I live now in the US in a very small town without the art shop. And the biggest art shop is Michael's. And as I said, I like to work with the good materials. They have some gambling paints, but not much, right? Because it's Montgomery, Alabama. So I have to order everything online, and certain frames got delayed. And I'm like, how am I going to do it? And then I just gave in and I said, look, it has to happen while it will happen. And I brought them 5 paintings. They're all oil paints, 18 by 24. And that's it. That's my journey for 11 years, 10 years. Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. I can't believe this is. And I'm glad to see some part of it being there with you, and from now, hopefully more. But this is so amazing. I think what's really wonderful about this, that I feel like I remember you and me talking about a lot of things, like, you know, while you were moving, you were here, we were figuring a lot of things out, and like you've always been very persistent about like, I see a lot of you in your work, like, and it's only going deeper. What do you think, like, now moving back to US, do you think it's impacting your work in some way, and you?
Oh yeah, so much. It's so much. Like, I feel I live like on a countryside now, and it's so quiet and so settled, and as before, like here you find very powerful people, like strength, like they have they believe in themselves, right? And I feel like, okay, I don't have to scream as I did before through my art, like to, hey, look into yourself. But it does impact. I moved here. I don't have friends yet. I have a little social life, and so I'm again a lot with myself. And I think it's I'm exploring where am I going, and you can see that through my art as well, right? So I'm like sketching some watercolors. There is a lot of, I'm very passionate about and you could see the subjects in my art. They are cactus and all these desert, Arizona desert, Oklahoma mountains, right? This really has some impact. I don't know why yet. I know what is the cactus represents to me. So, but I don't know what the mountains have with it. I have to still explore that. And, yeah, there is a lot of change. I see there is a lot of change I'm going more also not such a bold colors anymore in the art. So I'm really interested, where am I
You're gonna
go with that.
how does it feel like from India? Because moving from India to a countryside in the US, it's like a stark difference. Like, especially you were living in Hyde Park, which is like a whole busy city, like a city
Right.
life, to now a countryside, which is completely like opposite. How is it feeling? How is making
Right.
the work also feel?
So it's India was like really hectic all the time, and I love that hectic, right? So I lived for 10 years basically in really busy cities, right? We always lived not in a capital, but the second biggest city of the country, right? And it was always busy. Like there's people, there is so much visual pleasure that can feed you up, and here is like trees.
I love that. I would trade for that.
I do too. I love it too. It's really cool. I love it. I
see you going on horse riding, stable, and like, oh
yes,
God,
and this is how it's like it's changing. I painted a horse last time, like a big gigantic horse.
I know,
and I'm pretty sure all these animals are gonna somehow end up in my art. I don't know how, but they will. It's so, but it's different though. Again, I had to start here having basically. I chose one room to be my studio. We are about to build also my studio separately, but because this is the final, we are not moving anywhere, so I can make like a temporary decision.
That's so good to hear. Is it a good thing to hear or not? First, I should ask.
I don't know. I think it's good for the kids. I love traveling. I love meeting people. Like, I love learning the cultures because it opened me like this, right?
Yes.
But I was really scared that how am I gonna bring my art, the stories of, because all these stories are embedded in my art through all these travels, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like it's stopping, and I'm like I was scared, not anymore. Like, how am I going to do this? Now I'm stopping to live around the world, and now I'm not going to have any more stories to tell. But it's like, well, it's not just...
You'll have another one. You'll have something new about it.
Exactly, right.
So yeah, it's more even beautiful about this is when you started painting, you didn't start because of this. I mean, this just became like your life became a part of it. You didn't intended to make it a part of it. And I think what's even interesting now is like, now we'll like maybe a couple of years from now, we'll see how that life impacts you today. Like,
right. Yeah.
A new story, a new chapter.
Yeah. No, so I don't know if you can see this painting here behind me.
Yes,
you can see clearly. So she's like, I find myself being a lot like, here is like, find myself like, what am I going to do with my art? And I'm in this pose. So you could see the pose reflecting in my art, right? So it is like, now I am really basically digging deeper into my art, being here, right? Yeah. So, which I think every artist does, right? We all put ourselves in it, and so, but anyway, I am painting here with oils. It's been a slightly challenging because it's very humid and hot, and the oils dry really slow.
Yeah.
And I like to paint fast. Like I like to make art quick because I've got that inspiration. But it also taught me oils here to be very patient and like put more effort to it. Like, you know, because you gotta come back, wait that it dries, and then come back to it, you know. So yeah.
I love that. Okay, tell me something about how do you think you were able to? Well, I feel also you've answered this somewhere in your talk, but I just try to figure out more. Like, how have you been able to keep up with this urge? Also in execution, because I find it very hard with like moving studios, moving cities. Um, it's really hard. Like with life that takes over, and if you do several things, like I do a lot of things. So how do you make sure? Like, how do you make the work? Keep making the work.
I, you know, I get really like not grumpy, but I kind of get sad if I
I
don't
swear.
put out. It's
Yes.
like it makes me so sad. Like, and everybody can notice that my whole persona changes if I don't create, right? And
I
then
agree.
they take, then they take time, step away from me so I can create. I have a little sketchbook. I am not a sketchbook person, but doing something fast just to put creativity out, it's like I
Yeah.
think that kept me moving. And what I figured out while I was in India, I would go every day to studio for I would have a schedule, right? 8 to 1 or 8 to 12, right? And I would paint or do whatever admin, whatever, right? With the art. And more I was in my studio, more I was like, you know, I was just telling them to my family, like, I need studio because sometimes I
Yeah.
get inspiration from
Just sitting.
just having the mess on my floor.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, it sparks the idea, right? Instead of like here painting all this life in the kitchen, I have to put it away, bring it back.
Yeah.
And you could see, I think you could also reflect that in the final art itself, right? So, and then yeah, this my art studio first was like just a big room that everybody came through. So there was shoes, there was food, there was like, you know, you bring the groceries so now I'm like, okay, that's enough. Now I really need a studio so that I could like create more, like be myself. Yeah, but it's tough though. You have to kind of really manage, you know, especially now going with kids to school, drive them everywhere, like having a puppy. Like it's
Yeah.
like the life is just so busy, but I always find at least 10 to 15 minutes to sketch something. But
I
then
love
at
that.
night again, I go back at night in the studio and try to paint again.
I love
So,
that about a home studio. I think that's something I
yeah.
always relished. Like for me, I think that's what like when I was staying back in Delhi, I used to have like a home studio, and I think that movement was very nice because whenever I had like if I wasn't doing anything, I was probably in the studio because that's where I would
Right.
want to be.
And
And with like,
exactly.
but with a separate studio, I think the transportation, you know, coming in,
It's the
going, like
exactly
it's
it's the
harder.
effort. And what I think is you kind of also like you get that quick expression that you need to put out, like, you know, and you can just go to your studio, while studio away
Yeah.
from home is like you lose it. I mean, I don't know, people love it. I love having my studio at home though.
At home.
And then like
Yeah.
even when I have my family at home, then sometimes they join in the studio and they do their
Yeah.
stuff
I love your
and I do
girls.
my
Like,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So
I love having my dogs in the studio. I think
yeah.
that's also for me also that's very important. But I think the flip side to it is that it's hard. It's hard when you I like compartmentalizing. I think I never was able to compartmentalize. And for me, I think what worked moving the studio outside was managing several projects at one point. I knew that when I'm going in the studio, I'm just going to create. So I think that
Right.
really helped me.
Right. Yeah. But I think it's exactly, you have to whatever, you know.
Compartmentalize. Yeah. I get
Right.
it.
Because especially if you're running a couple of different ventures, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have your Arts of Hearts project, you have your art, and whatever you're doing, your graphic design apart from it, right? It's the same with me. I have this merchandising and my art, and then this nonprofit organization, I kind of have to schedule my timing when I'm gonna do something, and I hate scheduling when I need to paint, because of those inspirations that quickly come into my head, right? So I'm trying to go in the studio every night at least back. So
I feel very restless right now. I think for the past 2 months, I've been struggling with the studio because I've not been I don't have a studio in Delhi. When I stay here, I like to spend more time with my girls. I want to stay back home. So I stay. Right. So I literally moved so much stuff from my studio to my room in my house. And then now, literally just 2 days ago, I sent my stuff to Delhi so that now I could set up my studio. And I'm just I feel so restless, even though I still keep in touch and I'm doing it for myself, but I feel restless. I think I understand the importance of having a studio. It's this space that's just yours, and you know the purpose of that. It makes you feel like yourself.
Yeah, it kind of welcomes you. You come there, and says, "Hey, hi, let's create."
Yes, yes. I think it brings you in that. I think it's also this is what for me. I think I keep asking myself this question, why should I make art? Why should I keep making art? I can, if I'm doing so many things, and I think when you're doing so many things, you keep thinking okay, if I'm doing all of these things, why do I need to make art? And every day I come back to this answer, I need to make art because I just need to make art. I just can't stop. I need to make it for myself because I start feeling breathless if I don't create it. I need that in my life, because that was also one thing that brought everything. For you, everything that you're doing today, it started just from this desire that you need to keep making.
Right. Yeah. No. And I think that's the good enough reason that you feel that you need to make it, and you just go and make it. And then, if there are other people that like your art, it's amazing. The worst thing, and I think we all end up being in that, is that as much as you're painting for yourself, and if this is or any type of the art, right, and this is your way of income, you kind of start at one point making it for the other people, and then you're really not making. I don't think you're putting 100% yourself in it when you're making it for the other people. Right?
Yeah.
In with a vision, this is for others, instead of this is.
I think that's you just said it in your talk also. Things start to happen when you care. You're I care the least about. That's when you put yourself out there, and probably a lot of things start showing up, because you're no longer waiting for it, counting for it, and you're no longer concerned. You go into this vortex, in this zone of your own.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
I love that. Oh my God. Oh God, thank you so much, Anna. This has been so much fun. Julia, if anybody has a question, if there's anything else that you want to share, I think this was. I really love your presentation. I really love it. I swear, I'm not because I'm saying it that way, because you're here, but I think it just spoke to me so much.
Thank you, Charika, and thank you so much for having me. And it's been, as much I was thinking maybe I shouldn't do that, because I was working with the files that I had on my hand, because as I said, everything is still in a container. I don't even have pictures to show you exactly all of the art.
No, you've done a wonderful job.
So I hope you got some insight. I think the most important is no matter where you're painting, is keep on, if you're feeling the urge to do it, just keep on doing it, and it's gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think, it's, as much I need to say that my art is very well accepted between the people, and it sells, and every time it sells, it makes me feel really cool, because it's a confirmation for me that there is people that like to hang my art in the right, but just do it also for yourself. It's and when you ask yourself, why am I creating? I never asked that myself. Why am I creating? I never did. Maybe I should, right? I mean, I never sat down and because it's maybe because it's also I do sell, but I know if it wouldn't sell and I would have to live on something, I don't have issues going and working whatever I have to do. right? So,
Yeah, I
but
think I keep asking this to myself because sometimes I feel like I overdo on things. Like I have so
Mhm.
much going on sometimes. Like there's so many things that and I feel like
but you're
when
doing
I had,
amazing with the Arts to Hearts project. It's just like, I feel like it's like, going so cool. And I'm very
thank
proud of
you,
you. In 2 years,
thank
you
you,
grew a lot. Yeah. So,
thank you. Like I've seen you do amazing things, and I think that's again that is what I feel like that I circle back to when I feel like there's so much I'm doing. I need to filter. Like, am I doing right? And you keep. I have this habit because I've gone into several directions and like in the past, and I
mhm.
feel like, am I going right? I keep asking myself, am I going right? Or if every time I don't, I think this imposter syndrome keeps coming in as an artist also. Like if I'm not in the studio enough, I keep questioning myself. Oh, I'm not going to the studio enough. Am I making art? And I'm like, oh, if
Mhm.
I'm not going to, am I an artist anymore? Like all these questions keep coming up. And I'm like, even let's say if I don't, I still had an option. Whatever I'm doing can be done any part of the space
Right.
I'm in. But I need a studio because I need to be in that zone. I need to make art. And that's completely could be a decision I need to do that. If I want to be selling all year round, I want to be selling at certain point, I want to do online, I want to do show or whatever. That could be a completely different decision.
Mhm.
But just the question of making art, I think I know now that this is like a center that flows through everything, and I need to keep like for my own sanity. I feel like one answer that keeps coming to me is like for my own sanity, like you said, like I need to feel myself, and for that I need art.
Yeah.
That it ends up to that for me.
Yeah. And just keep on listening to yourself, whatever,
Yeah,
however, like, and sometimes you just need to put your thing as, let's say, Arts to Hearts a little bit on the side. I know you can't because you've got this
yeah,
wheel now going on and it's spinning and you have to keep on going, but eventually you'll probably have a lot of big team that is going to allow you to work on your stuff,
yeah.
your
And I
art
think
more.
for me, I think I always see things as creating. I cannot. I am a compulsive creator. Like I can't. Before I finish a project, I'm always thinking of new things. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. And I can't, like you said, you can't create in one medium. For me, my medium is just not like painting. I need to compulsively like create. I
Do
love
different
talking
things.
to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I love this talk. I love this talk so much. I love the podcast, like everything we do. But at some point, yeah, it does get overwhelming, and then you need to figure out like what do I need to lower at some point. And there have been days like I think if you ask me a couple of months from like 4 months from here before, I was so much in my zone in the studio that I was hardly giving time to things.
Mhm.
And a lot of things were, of course, where you put energy is where it grows. And my work was growing so much, but then Arts to Hearts or something like something it didn't get so much focus. And I've understood that it's okay. Sometimes I will feel a certain way and I need to put more energy in that. Sometimes, and I
Right.
think that's the part of being a creative. We have a question,
Right.
which is
Mhm.
Julia's asking.
I am from Austria, so not so far away from your hometown.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
cool.
Yeah, and I also have no real education in art, but I want to start something. I want to create, and my question is how to start. Did you just make your own website and just straight ahead, or?
So you want to start like you already have an artwork, or you want to start painting?
No, I already started painting, and
Oh, okay.
my question is
No,
how.
so no, before. So what it is like with the websites, if you don't have like some certain income or to support it, you have to pay that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I would say so, right, Charka? Right?
Yes,
They're not for
absolutely.
free. You have to pay them. So what I did, I started putting my artwork on Sachi Art. That's like for free.
Yeah.
So you would just have to have nice picture and open the account with them, and then like you start there, right? And then you share with your social media, whatever, your link where they can purchase your art. And there, even on the Sachi Art, you could kind of like put all these processing pictures on so they could see what's going on in your studio as well. I never did that because I don't know. I don't know why never did that. But like eventually I said, look, because I want to be an artist, I'm going to now make a website. And website didn't just came like that to be what it is now, and I'm still not super happy with it, but it's keep on evolving. It's the same as your art, right? You paint something and it's way better than what you painted before, and then you upload this, right? And like you're always playing with the design, and like, I mean, I think it's way easier for me than for Charuka to change the website how it looks like, because I'm an artist. I can. She's an organization, right? She kind of have to have like structured part. So yeah, start with maybe like, you could go, it depends, what do you want, where do you want to sell your art and show your art? Like if you want to do Saatchi art, would be like professional art. Then you've got what are those, Society 6, Bubble, something,
Redbubble.
right? Redbubble, you could do there, and then you could also from that make the merchandise. Just look in those websites, right? So I don't think you have to have a website right away.
Yeah, because at the start, I think it's like spending more money than making one, so it's very hard to begin.
But it is true. Something you have to spend.
Yes. I was just coming to that. I think this again, it comes to your own goals. I think we cannot, and I think exactly Anna what just said, that sometimes you have to take that risk. Like you have to invest in yourself without knowing like where it would go and what it would bring, because you feel called to. Like even let's say Anna, you started making the work. You have no intention of selling the work, but you just made, and it takes a huge investment. Let's be honest, like making the work is an investment.
I mean, make it exactly. It's like buying art supplies. It's super expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It's but like if this is something what you want to do, you have to invest in yourself. Like it's. I've never took any educational lessons apart from clay. Like I'm totally self-taught, but like I'm thinking now, like to like, because I'm working with the medium that I'm really not familiar with it, and I am slowly figuring it out. But like sometimes I want to know.
You can fasten the process. Yeah, you could fasten the process.
And I totally understand. I was there as well in that point. Like, oh gosh, I gotta pay, but I don't have. Like, it didn't came in anything. But it's like,
yeah.
Well, I have to lose something to gain something, right? So
at least you will. I think also that you're also betting on yourself. Like you're trusting yourself that you'll figure it out. And I think in the longer run, also you'll not regret, oh, I didn't try it, or like I didn't take it that far. But I also do believe in the fact that I think, Julia, you don't have to I do feel there's a necessity today to have a website, and it's really affordable to get one today. Like you don't even have to have like there are so many ones that would let you have a free website, and that could just be like, let's say you could do, Julia, you could, if you don't even want to put in some money, don't have an e-commerce, that's also okay. Like a lot of artists today also don't have an e-commerce. You could simply go to like WordPress, take a blog and use a blog as a way to show your work. You could use Wix, or you could use, there are so many companies today who don't charge you anything, but you could host your work on their domain. Or I've seen artists being very good. What they do is you could start with Canva. And I think this is a very smart solution. I wish I was that smart at that point. You could just use Canva, update your recent work, and it's free. And just make a Canva link or like a link that anybody can view. The problem that you need to solve is that you could just have, even if you're on Instagram, anybody can click on a link, find all your works, and know where to reach you if they're interested. Now process, you can evolve, like you can start with a PDF link, then you can go with like a basic website, then you can go with an advanced, and that is something. But I think we need to invest in ourselves, and that investment changes from point to point. In the early years, let's say in whatever time, like sometimes your time is a currency that you use. Sometimes money is the currency you use. So right now, maybe let's say you don't want to invest in a currency, you like money wise. So you put in the time and make an effort of making a PDF or like a Canva or something like that, and add it to your links. Like just give someone one place they can come. People don't really care about their coming on a website. Of course, it's easier. It's a very practical, easy solution, but that does not mean that you can't do it any other way. Just have something is I think important thing.
Yeah. And I think if you don't have like a bigger social media following, even if you would have a bigger social media following, it's easier, but it's still, I mean, it's not something like I'm not like getting bunch of work because I have 16,000 people. Putting your artwork on the like websites as Saatchi kind of gives you more opportunity for other people to see your artwork.
Look at your
right?
work.
Right. Right. Because when you have your website, it's you who need to drive people to your website to see. Yeah, you need to drive that traffic. But another thing is like when you have your own website, eventually you start treating that as you want this thing to grow. You know, you want it to become something, and you put more and more effort in it. I mean, at least that's who I am. I don't want to like pay. I don't know. I think I pay like $200 or $300 a year, right? I don't want to pay this like just stand there and doesn't bring any income back.
Like that.
Because if it just because if it's just gonna stay, then I'd rather not have it, right?
And I think I really like this perspective, Anna. I think this also pushes us on the edge. Like, let's say if I have to cover like even as small as $10, if you commit $10 to a month to your art, then you are forced to think like ways, how do you recover that $10? You need to pay this bill at the end of the month. How do you do that?
Art is not something that sells on a daily basis. Even though like I would love it to sell on a daily basis, but it doesn't, right? It just doesn't. Like it's not like people go and buy, even if you have prints for $30, they will like, very affordable. They will not sell just like, I mean, except if you are somebody, I don't know, and some very famous artist. But it's an effort though. And about how to see also how to promote your art is like there is way many different ways how to do that. Like as Charka said, you could maybe start doing the blog, or you could apply for the blogs. And I also think it matters a lot that you really put yourself out there. Right? You have to be out there. Like I see now, I kind of retract from the Instagram, not posting so much. I'm also not getting so much traffic back. Like when I was like very active on it, at the same time, I would get more interest in it. So, it's, you have to show up all the time.
Yeah, so. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome, Julia. Did anybody has any more questions? If not, I really want to say a big thank you, and I think this was so good.
Yeah, thank you, Charka, and thank you everybody for coming. And
we'll do this again. We'll do this like we'll talk about it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay,
thank you, everybody.
Have a lovely night and day, and wherever you are in the world. And
bye.
Talk to you soon. Okay, ciao, ciao.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find all the details and links mentioned in the show notes of this episode available on www.arts2heartsproject.com. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to tag us in your stories and leave us a review here on iTunes or any of your favorite platforms. It really helps us to keep the show going. Thank you so much. I'm sending you lots of love, and I can't wait to be back here soon again. Bye.